Hey everybody, welcome back to the VR Archive. We're back with another game. This one kind of important, as you can see, Oculus Studios. This is, wait for it, wait for it, abort here, wait for it. This is Coaster Combat. Now a lot of people will remember this one. This was a big release for the Oculus GO platform. I know we've covered a lot of Gear VR games because we're kind of starting at the beginning, but this was I guess if you would say a killer app, this was one of them for the Go. You can see we have 4 levels here. We'll start with Volcanic Valley here, and we'll just jump into the game as I kind of explain it and why this one's important and why this one's here. So, Coaster Combat is kind of, sort of, ooh, hey kitty, is kind of, sort of still available. You can technically reach it online through the Meta Quest store if you have the right link, and you can purchase it for $7.99 for the Go. But those that have purchased it say they cannot download it, and it does not work. We did have someone verify that as well. You can pay the $7.99, but it will not download or work on the Go. And we'll talk about why that is a little bit later. Now, it is still available on the Meta Quest, and we haven't checked that version, but if you go into the reviews for the Meta Quest edition, you kind of get the same thing with people saying, as of 2023 recently, maybe with the last major update with the Meta Quest 3 coming out, they cannot get it to work. So we figured this one is incredibly important in the lifespan or life cycle of Oculus Go VR. This is a killer app, that it is important to keep it saved and back this one up, especially when things are so tenuous right now on whether you can actually get this. It's working for some people. Most people say it doesn't. If you go to the meta.com experiences and look for Coaster Combat Go, it's technically a different one, it seems, from Coaster Combat Quest Edition. There is not a purchase link, but if I look at it in a different browser, there is a purchase link sometimes, or if I go through a different link, I've seen it as well. Now, this one says an internet connection is not required to play. As you can see, we're playing it offline right now. But this one was released in 2018, so early days of the Quest, or the Go. And this was a big featured app by Oculus themselves, which is strange why it's not available currently. The most recent review we have is from 2023, saying the game was the best game to play by user Shirley Lynn. Now it won't work. I deleted it off my phone to re-download. Can't even find to reinstall. I paid for other portals to the game, please help. So it looks like, I don't remember this one because I wasn't into the VR at the time, but it looks like the 4 portals were original downloads on the base game if you purchased it. I believe maybe one of them was free to kind of entice you, and then it looks like there was DLC. And as you can see, we just completed Volcanic Valley here, which, let me tell you, this game was so far one of the most pure, joyful, fun experiences on the Go. The sense of motion and looking around and action, even if you are stationary, was incredible. Let's go for the hardcore one. This one reminds me of the Matterhorn. Loved, loved, loved this game, although it gave me quite a bit of a headache once I completed all 4 rounds because of the motion. Now, you can look 360, and your goal here is to shoot different coins or tokens or whatever based on the level you're in, trying to get all of them. And you can do that looking around yourself in 360. I don't do that too often because that quick motion really messes with my equilibrium, and I haven't played in a while, and I still kind of had a lingering headache for the rest of the day, probably because all I've had is Dr. Pepper and, and bad food from the commissary, but what are you gonna do? This one right here, this stage, is a utter blast, and I think this is the one that kind of got me sick. playing it because the motion and moving around. But regardless of that, the gameplay experience is an utter joy. There are separate tracks you can hit like this and go down paths. I'm not sure if the tracks are themselves kind of procedurally generated. There were allusions to that in the game because it says generating tracks. I'm not sure about that. But regardless, there are multiple paths within the stage that you can take, and not just once or twice. There's several times where you can bank to the left and to the right. Now again, the goal is to get the points by shooting the targets, and in this one we have this kind of mage-like device, and there's also enemies that will come in that you have to take on. As you can see right here, there'll be an abominable snowman or a yeti over here that you hit. Now this one is blistering fast. It's wild. So these are a lot of fun. Didn't feel like we needed to cover this one because I would assume Oculus would be really good about backing up their stuff, but no. More people in the comments here stopped working now in 2023, so it looks like this is a pretty recent kind of stoppage to this platform service that kind of caught a lot of people off guard. Ishan Kakar here says, I launched my Oculus GO after a long time. Something a lot of people have done, something we've encouraged people to do, and even our small little contribution here, people have said they've picked up their Oculus GO again, or they've gone to look for one to kind of get into VR, because again, the Meta Quest 3 is out. Super interesting device, but I still think there's a lot of life in the Oculus GO in terms of what it could do and still can do with games like this for those just getting into VR. I mean, imagine how I was talking about getting sick earlier. Imagine spending like $500 on a Quest 3 to realize that VR makes you absolutely sick, and then you're stuck with that, right? Or invest 40, 50 bucks in an Oculus GO, get some of these good games, and have a good time and see if it's for you. So we completed this one, so you can kind of see behind you there. I don't do that because it makes me a little sick. So let's go back to the main menu. Well, Coaster Combat, and I'll take a quick swig of water here. No, Dr. Pepper. So we'll go to another one. Let's go to the pirate one. The pirate one is a lot of fun. So going back to Ishan Kakar here, he said, I launched my Oculus GO after a long time and the game does not work now. Keeps crashing on launch. Please don't purchase. Worst game studio ever. So he was really mad. A lot of people have issues. You can't play it. You can't download it. But it seems like at the time earlier this year that it was still officially up on the store for purchase. And again, there are a lot of games currently on the Oculus GO store if you log in through your device that you can still purchase and play just fine. So there is still a lot of content out here. But he is feeling what a lot of people are feeling, and what I fear is going to happen more and more, is you're going to have spent all this money and you're not going to be able to play your games when the next model or the next model comes around, and you're just never going to be able to go back and play these games that you purchased. Maybe not a huge deal on the Oculus GO when you're spending $2, $3, $4, $5, right? I think some of the biggest games maybe 20 bucks, but we talk about the Quest 2, and you're spending $30, $40 on an experience, and then a couple generations from now you simply can't play them. That blows my mind in why we're here to kind of save the games we can when we can. So going on, as recent as even last year in 2022, late 2022, random LCP user here says, this was the best coaster game on the go. I completely concur with that. Now it just crashes and won't load. Wish the developers would reach out and fix this. Now we'll talk about why that is here in a little bit, because we have figured that out. Or at least we think we figured that out. Another Mania says, Coaster Combat, I'm having the same issue. Hopefully the devs can fix this. They did not. It looks like they completely stopped support, but did allow purchases for some time. No longer loads. Why? Other old games still work on the Oculus GO, says Wowzy. Agreed. So the comments like this go on and on and on. And even on the Quest version, it seems like some of these comments are starting to recently pop up, is that they can't load the game or they can't log on and the like. But let's talk about the game itself for a little bit. This is published by Oculus Studios, which is why it's so surprising that this didn't have the support, especially when you can clearly see from this video that you can play this completely fine offline. Yes, maybe you'd lose some DLC access, but the core game is still totally playable on the Go without any of that, so that boggles us. So this was developed by Forcefield Studios, again released back in 2018. Here comes the end of it. This pirate one was a blast. And the description goes like this. Get ready for one of the most enjoyable roller coaster experiences ever. Part roller coaster experience, part action game. Coaster Combat is one of the most addictive and immersive VR apps on the store. Embark on extremely exhilarating yet amazingly comfortable rides with an unlimited number of different track combinations. So it does look like it may be procedurally generated, which is absolutely cool. No two rides are ever the same. Engage in Coaster Combat as you rack up scores by hitting treasure targets with a range of difficulty differently themed weapons. Invite your VR friends to your own personal score challenges for social multiplayer fun, all against the backdrop of a wide variety of different worlds, ranging from beautiful pirate paradises to cursed castles filled with jump scares. As you can see now, very Harry Potter feeling, and I really, really like this one. Even kind of start looking around a little bit, even though I am nauseous at this point. But this one is cool. The aesthetics, the feel. This is the kind of apps that kind of would get people hooked on VR, because this is an Oculus published app, where before we're kind of looking at third-party developers, one-man studios, very, very small teams. This is a huge team, a huge endeavor, huge scope for an early VR game on the go, and it's fantastic. But again, you can't not get this, and it really boggles the mind. Now, why can't you get this? Well, it looks like it says an internet connection is not required, but when you load the game, it does try to connect to a server, and as you saw earlier, I had to abort that. Now this version lets me abort that. It does seem like some people are having trouble with aborting the game, and others are having trouble because the Oculus GO didn't have a ton of room. You would delete games off your drive so you can play other games or download them and then come back. And those that have tried to re-download this can't, because apparently the servers to access this are down, even though apparently it is still available in some capacity, which is very strange to us. So this one seems to be in a limbo right now, and officially it looks like you can't get it, and that is nutty. But if you look at Coaster Combat on the Meta Quest, that's a different version apparently, because it just called Coaster Combat. This one is called Coaster Combat Go. The one on the Quest is $9.99. The original here that we're looking at was $7.99. And this says it supports the Quest, the 2, the Pro, and the 3. And it's at 1.0. Same team behind it, of course. And people are saying it's not working. This app used to work fine, but for some reason it doesn't even want to open now. I thought it was my Quest 2 at first, then I realized all other apps I had were working fine. So it looks like this one is starting to have some issues. So we kind of got ahead of it. We wanted to back this one up and save it so that you can play it. You can get it from us here at the VR Museum. You can back it up and sideload it onto your device to enjoy classics. So if you have actually purchased this game and can't play it, you can access it here this way. So that's Coaster Combat. As you can see here, I'm going to try to go online, and this is what it asked originally, and I think this is where it bugs out for a lot of people who are linked to their Oculus GO device. Yeah, and it's not going to work. So if you abort it, this version's fine. Some people are having issues with that. So at least now we can back up something important. I mean, imagine if you had Super Mario Brothers on the NES, and then they just decided, you know what? You can't play it on the NES anymore, so tough luck, suckers. Get it on the Super Nintendo or nothing. So look, you can see how big this team was. But this is Coaster Combat. Pick it up for yourselves. Let us know in the comments if you've played it, if you are playing it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll hopefully see you again in the future for more VR adventures.